Alright, you guys, this is the first episode of I Am Jazz, and Jazz is back. So Jazz is currently joined rugby in college to lose some weight, and he's actually lost about 25 pounds. And once again, Jazz is being overly sexualized. He's telling his friend how he's so happy that he has a vajayjay and how he can stretch low to the ground, and it's just giving weird vibes. Of course, Jazz is getting ready to go back home to Florida for the summer, and he hasn't told Greg and Jeanette that he is on a dating app, so this is a surprise that's awaiting them later on this episode. And for some reason, we keep getting the hints that Jazz is caged by Jeanette, okay? Each and every season, we keep seeing hints that Jeanette is a control freak that will never let Jazz go. And Jazz technically doesn't really even want to go back home. Jeanette and Greg arrive, of course, they come to watch Jazz play rugby with his friends, and Jeanette cries about Jazz being all grown up, her kids being grown up, blase blase. Jazz worries about going back home due to his mental illness and due to the fact that he still has binge eating disorder, so it's like going back home may trigger something, but that's kind of something you have to live with for the rest of your life and you have to fight off yourself. So it shouldn't be based on location, but it should be based on how you feel as an individual. So that's something that Jazz has to work on. So everybody is at home except for Ari, who is currently still in Arkansas working on her PhD to become a doctor, of course. And for some odd reason, while they're having dinner, Griffin decides to bring up the fact that they're going over porno laws, and they all decide to talk about this during dinner. This family is strange, and I've always told you guys this family is strange, so we're not even gonna go deep into that because we already know what time it is, alright? So they then get on the subject of Jazz being on dating apps, and Jeanette and Greg don't really want the kids being on dating apps, and they think it's dangerous because, you know, there's crazy people out there. I mean, there's crazy people out there in the real world, not only on dating apps, but, you know, Jazz has to filter out who's cuckoo and who's not, and that's a decision he has to make. He is an adult, if I'm not mistaken, okay? Yeah, he's an adult, yeah. Jazz wants to be in love so bad and wants to find somebody to accept him regardless of his size and gender and all of that, blase blase. And he decides to go into Sanders' room to talk about it, and they go through the dating app and, you know, try to filter Jazz's profile or whatever and pictures and all of that. And I'm just like, why is Sander the guy to do all of this with? Like, oh child, this family I'm not saying your siblings can't help you. I'm just saying this, like, why is Sander always the one? Like, is he trying to get a spin-off show? TLC, let us know. It's about time because he is long suffering and he is just always there. Jazz's friend Jacqueline comes to pick him up so they can pretty much go shopping for the beach party that's gonna be happening in a few days, if I'm not mistaken. And then in between time, Jeanette and Jazz decide to have a conversation about condoms that Jeanette found, and I'm just like, this conversation is inappropriate and it's quite disgusting if you ask me. Like, why are you guys trying to make everything about sex on this show, and why is there nothing else that you can do, Jeanette? Like, what is this? Mother is strange. Somebody help me out in the comment section. What was up with that scene with the condoms? Somebody let me know, because I found myself dumbfounded and a little perturbed. All right, moving on. The way Jeanette is acting about Jazz going to a party is quite weird and disturbing as well, because it's like, does Jazz go anywhere without being chaperoned by Sander at his big age? Like, why can't Jazz go to this place or that place without somebody following him, without you guys tracking him? Like, is Sander Jazz's official chaperone? It's just like, he tags along everywhere. Like, Jazz literally has no freedom whenever he goes back to Florida, which is kind of strange. Like, what is going on? Then we move on to the party, the beach party. Jazz and Sander arrive at the party that's being hosted by Jacqueline, and there's a few, you know, transgenders there as well. You know, they hug each other, blase blase. Jazz's friend Jacqueline, formerly known as JoJo, announces noticed that he's gonna get a breast augmentation, and that's coming up soon. And this is the same friend, if I'm also not mistaken, that at the age of 16 or 17 wanted to get a boob job, and the grandma was like, hell no. And you guys know Jazz was trying to talk the grandma down, and the grandma was looking like, no. Once he turns 18, he can do whatever, but this is a kid. And the grandma had more common sense than even JoJo's mom, which was like, wow, okay. Jacqueline proceeds to tell Jazz, now this is a key, guys. Jacqueline proceeds to tell Jazz that he matched with Sander on a dating app. And to that I say go figure, because let's be honest, Sander needs a show, alright? He needs a spin-off. The guy has been working overtime. At this point, I feel like TLC is trying to tell us something about Sander that he hasn't told us already. Alright, you guys, give him his due diligence, because the guy is long suffering. He's been waiting for his turn. He's been waiting for his time to shine, okay? And side note, Tyler, the one transgender dude with the blonde hair, I just want him to lay off the lip fillers. I don't know what he's done to his face, but his face was looking a little bit stiff. Like, just lay off the fillers, but this is just my opinion. And of course, the beach party was a wash. There was no singles that were really there, and Jazz wasn't really interested. So the party moves on over to a selfie museum, and for some reason, Jazz looks nervous and sweaty in a corner after meeting a guy and introducing himself. I don't know, I guess the anxiety kicked in and he just felt a little bit nervous. And then we go back to Jeanette and Greg. They're both at home. They have nothing better to do with their lives, so they decide to track Jazz through a GPS on Jazz's phone. And then Jeanette decides to drive to go find Jazz, because yeah, this is a storyline that we never knew we needed. And once Jeanette gets there, one of Jazz's friends goes to tell Jazz that, hey, your mom is in the parking lot, and hey, she looks worried. So Jazz goes out there and is like, what are you doing here? And Jeanette is like, oh, nobody was picking up. And Jazz proceeds to tell Jeanette like, hey, both of our phones were dead, blase blase, like, yeah, I'm an adult now, like, what are you doing? Like, lay off, calm down. Like, Jeanette was asking Jazz whether he had drank, and it's like, Jazz was like, I'm 21 years old. Like, Jeanette, let go, lay off of Jazz. What did Jazz ever do to you? Like, come on, she's not your only kid that you can smother. Like, just because Jazz is transgender doesn't mean that you need to hound over his every waking move. This is getting uncomfortable at this point. And then Jeanette proceeds to tell us that it's not codependency, but yet, let me tell you, Jeanette, this is definitely codependency. And Jazz is correct when he says, please take a step back. I'm ready for you to take a step back, Jeanette. And for the love of God, Jeanette, leave Jazz alone. Let Jazz figure it out for himself. And at this point, we have come to the end of the episode, and it's official, guys. This season, they have no storyline. It's the same recycled, overly sexualized show of nothingness, and so we are ready for the boredom. So you guys let me know what you thought about the episode.